Well, well, well. Seems like us over at the Sony camp will be eating good for the latter half of this year. Phantom Blade Zero is set to release late October, but we were recently blessed with an early look at gameplay, art direction, story, combat, and weapons in the State of Play broadcast. Let's get into it. Originally, I wasn't super interested in Phantom Blade Zero. The fall of this year is super packed with games, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to meaningfully enjoy this game. I was also not really planning on starting another Souls-like game so soon. However, after watching the State of Play, I've changed my tune a bit. Seeing this game, which was presented as being played on PS5 Pro, it looked really great. Graphical fidelity, art direction at work here looked really impressive for a game like this. I am curious to see what the game will look like and perform like on base PS5, but time will have to tell on that. Leading up to the State of Play, I was a little concerned because Phantom Blade Zero on the PlayStation Store didn't have any notation that it would be PS5 Pro enhanced. It was also made pretty apparent that this game was primarily developed for PC and was being marketed to a Chinese audience, so I was a little concerned about the performance on console because most of the people over there, they play on PC, they're PC first. But the State of Play alleviated most of these concerns. I do wish we could have seen some base PS5 footage just to see how the game would perform, but my friends over on PS5 Pro and PC, I know you guys will be having an amazing time in this game. So the story of this game, in extremely brief, is the main character has 66 days left to live, and the story, the main story driver, plays well into the difficulty settings. This is one of the biggest things that impressed me while I was watching. You can choose from 4 different difficulty settings. Wayfarer, which is narrative focused and a more relaxed experience. Pathbreaker, I would assume this is the normal difficulty with a balance between story but also combat that isn't a walk in the park. Hellwalker, a harder difficulty mode with more aggressive enemies and adaptive boss AI. And 66 Days, which is similar to Hellwalker with an added restriction of limited lives. The option of being able to choose story difficulty is nice for me. Now, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy a nice challenge, but sometimes with Souls-likes with different combat mechanics and a heavier focus on story, I personally value being able to take an easier road through the game so I can really focus on story, learning a new combat system, and I won't miss anything. That being said, I am interested to see how this mode will handle the adjustments. Will parrying and dodging be tied to button prompts, like QuickTime event type things? How will boss health and damage be reflected on Wayfarer difficulty? I'll be looking into more information on these aspects as we get closer to release. On the other end of the difficulty spectrum, Hellwalker and 66 Days, they mentioned in the State of Play that these difficulties, bosses will not use the same attack patterns. They will learn and adapt throughout the fight. So if you're spamming the same attack or dodging excessively, the boss will actually alter their movements and attacks based on that. I think this is a super cool concept, and I would actually like to know how they built this into the framework of the game, into the AI. My first guess would be maybe they had someone play as the boss or something as someone fights them, and then they use that gameplay data to teach the bosses different reactions. But regardless of how they built it, I'm sure it wasn't easy to do. This adaptive boss AI makes the 66 Days mode seem much more intimidating, much more daunting. The 66 Days mode, I think, will make the story feel so much more real. Every death would be whittling down your clock on life. When you run out of time, you're met with permadeath. A big part of games like this, though, is, especially during boss fights, is learning. To progress, you usually have to learn boss attack patterns, where to stand, when to attack. But when the boss is operating reactively and every fight is ultimately different based on how you are playing, it could be much more difficult to learn as you progress through attempts. I know there will be plenty of people playing the game that make it through the 66 Days mode, but there should be a distinction made in these games between an enjoyable challenge and a purely unfair experience. We'll have to see closer to release and whenever this game comes out how people actually like this mode and the difficulty. I was also very happy to see the devs announce that the game was not an open world game, but also not linear experience. Open world games are nice if done well, but definitely not a requirement, which seems to me like how the setting is being treated nowadays. Explorable zones with lots of secrets and side content within them are my favorite gaming mediums. This is because, unlike open worlds, explorable zones can be packed full with so much more handcrafted content and this really gives each zone its own identity and vibe. But I'll have to see whenever the game comes out if these zones are actually well implemented or not, if they're fleshed out, how the side content feels, all of these things. Finally, I'd like to speak on the weapon systems. You can find 30 main weapons, 25 secondary weapons, or Phantom Edges. We saw weapons like the Drunken Sword, which was super cool, White Serpent and Crimson Tiger, also really nice, Soft Snake Sword, Tiger Cannon. Each weapon looked like it had a unique use case and different moveset and feel. So I really like this. I like that each weapon, it didn't seem like there was just extra numbers being tacked onto a sword. Each weapon felt different martially, the moves were different, their strengths and weaknesses also different. And as you progress through the game, you can upgrade all these weapons, but you can also reset these weapon upgrades and get refunded all the materials used to upgrade the weapon. This is huge for me because I can be pretty indecisive with the weapons I use, flip-flop, switch out setups from boss to boss, so I'm definitely a fan of this feature. That's all I got for you guys. If you liked the video, drop a like. If you didn't like it, dislike the video. Let me know in the comments down below if you're looking forward to Phantom Blade Zero in October. Anyways, I'll see ya.